Welcome everybody, my name's Scott Hebbard from Sparx Systems, and once again we're looking at our urban parking system repository. Today we're going to be looking at the advanced activity diagram example, and we encourage people, if this is the first video that you've seen in the series, that we have previously done a introductory and an intermediate video, and we're building upon all of the ideas that we've looked at previously. So we would encourage you to look at those videos first before you jump into this one. But today we're looking at some more advanced features. I'm joined by Stephen Maguire, who's our resident expert in activity diagrams and everything UML. Welcome, Stephen. How are you today?
Very well, thank you, Scott, and thank you for the introduction. It's always a pleasure to be here. Yes, let's have a deep dive into the activity diagram, the UML activity diagram. Now, as always, Scott, I like to set my perspective when I start my work. So up in the top right-hand corner of the application, dashboards and charts. I've been doing some dashboarding on, requirements management and charts. So I'm going to change that perspective now into the UML behavioral perspective. So I'll choose that one there. Perspective set is UML. The actual perspective is behavioral. That brings up a page, a builder page with lots of different patterns on it. So here we have activity diagrams. Let's have a look at that. And we're going to have a look at a couple of things here. They start the activity diagram patterns start off with very simple things, and it builds up, as you can see. So some decisions, partitions, forks, joins, pins, and data stores, central buffers, which we covered in a earlier video, in the intermediate video. We're going to be looking at some exception handling and interruptible regions today. So I like to start things from first principles, Scott. So let's just close this, but remember that at any point you can inject these models in. If you want that model as part of your repository, simply click on the Create Model button up here in the top right, and that will actually inject it in. That gives you the opportunity then to change names and make it your own, but it gives you a starting point and make sure that you're on the right track. So very useful, Scott, but let's do things from first principles. I'm going to close the builder page. Here on the screen, I've got a navigation diagram. And if you haven't got these in your repository, I encourage you to put them in. I can click on the little icon on the bottom right-hand corner there, brings up a diagram of what's underneath that. I'll close that one, click through on here, and again, a number of different behavior diagrams. And again, I can click on this one here, and you can see that it brings up this book parking session, which is the one I'm looking for. So we can double click through on this one here, and we arrive at our diagram. Let's make a little bit more space by moving this barrier here between the properties and the diagram there. So in a previous video, we constructed this diagram. We have a start, a session start and a session end there, and we go through a number of different steps, some performed by the motorist, some performed by the payment system, and some by the media controller. So the partitions, as they're called in UML, or swim lanes in other languages like BPMN, which is a very related but different language. They represent who's got responsibility for doing some of those things. We talked about last time in our intermediate video, we talked about adding object nodes. So we've got an object here. We talked about data stores and central buffers. And again, if you want to look at those and understand them a bit more, you can look at those details in the model yourself. So what we're going to look at now is when something happens in the flow that isn't exactly what we were predicting to happen. So let's put another node onto our diagram. We first get our toolbox back, and I can do that by clicking on this little chevron here. Brings back my toolbox. Enterprise Architect has conveniently put up just the elements and relationships that are related to this activity diagram. And you can see here that we've got a number of elements. I'm going to put an action on there, and I'm going to call it cancel booking. Make it atomic. We've got a number of choices with these actions, but let's just keep it atomic here, and we'll call it cancel booking.
Yep.
Okay, so that's there, and we've done that. So let's put some notes in here, as I always do, Scott. I like to be able to record what's going on. It might seem obvious to people. There might be some subtleties around what cancel booking means, though. Cancellation proven by moving the parking reservation. So with that on there, I can now line that up using the alignment tools there. If we go into our toolbox, I'm going to close some of these. I can just click on this little triangle, close some of these that I don't need. And if you look at the relationships in a the previous video and the one before that, so the introduction and also the intermediate, we use control and object flows. So these were the control flows that sequence the actions together and tell you, what order they're happening on. And the object flows are about information or data that's coming in or out of the system. So they're object flows there. So now there's another one in here called an interrupt flow, and we're going to use that now. Scott will select that and we'll drag it from that node to that. You can see it's a squiggly line indicating, something kind of seriously has gone wrong. I kind of think about that little squiggly line. So that's the line there. So that's something that you can obviously do, and I can then put in a node here saying that I want to. I've got my activity nodes there. I've got my control nodes here. So let's put in a final node here, and we'll put that in, and it's booking cancelled. So let's put a flow there. That will be a sequence flow, obviously, into that. That's the control flow. And let's put in this booking cancelled. Okay.
So you're allowed to have the two endpoints on an activity diagram?
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. In fact, it's a great question, because when I start doing my own work, and I kind of learnt this from working over many years with these type of diagrams, they are actually the first things I put onto a diagram. So when I'm talking to an audience, I go, hey, what's this all about? And I'll say, this is all about booking a session. And I'll say, well, how does it start? Well, it starts when, a motorist either turns up at a site, or they go to the website, or, whatever the channel is that they're booking it through. But then I ask them, how can it finish? And they'll give me, like I say, well, you can, the happy or sunny day scenario, as people say, is that, someone books the session and it all works for them. Their credit card's accepted, and, they get the space that they want. Or it could end in different ways. And in this case, the booking's been cancelled. But it could end in other ways as well. For example, we haven't dealt with that detail here, but the wait for payment thing there, the credit card may not be accepted, and it might go into sort of some timeout thing and say, look, we can't continue with this. That credit card's not valid. Please select an alternate form of payment. When that's not presented, that can happen. Now, that all looks okay, but one thing, if you've been thinking about this as we're doing it, and I think people probably would have thought, hang on a minute, is that the only place that you can cancel a booking when you're entering the duration details? In fact, our metrics and data analysis, this is, the era or the decade of data. And, we know we collect data on when people bail from this process. And it usually is at the point when they get to this view cost thing, right? Because
parking's too expensive. I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it. I came here to have a cheap meal in the city, and my parking's going to cost as much as the meal. So I'm going to drive a little bit further out and get a tram or some other transport into the city. But it could happen at any point. So what I'm going to do, Scott, is I'm going to cancel this interrupt. So I'm going to remove that for the minute. And what I'm going to do is do something else. Now, if we look on our toolbox here, we've got what's called an interruptible region. So we're actually going to use that as a way of enclosing more elements, if you like, in that region where things may be cancelled. So what I'm going to do is I'll just move these ones over to the side. What I like to do with this and partitions, any sort of region or any sort of shape, I usually like to put it over to the right-hand side before I start, because I don't want it to get you know, kind of my diagram to get a bit cluttered. So interruptible region, I'll drag it on, and it's a dotted, becomes a dotted element.
Yep.
And you know, you can see it's could possibly enclose a lot of different things. Now, it could enclose a whole range of elements, but let's just do it for a couple of them first. Again, I'll just move this one out of the way. Very easy to move things around. I'm going to give it a name. When we do this, I always like to name things. So I'll say motorist cancels. And again, Scott, if you're been following me in previous videos, you'll know that
Put some notes.
I need some notes in there to explain what that's all about. Get my cursor and let's go in there. And interruptible region encompasses all activities related to searching for reserving. Now we haven't done that yet, but let's do that, and we'll move this now onto the diagram. So I'm simply going to put it over a couple of them just to show you how that works. And what I'll do is I'll put it around those ones there, and I'll move my card input one over a little bit, and again I'll move this up a bit. So very simple, just to drag the edge, and we've got that in place. Now the other thing I like to do, Scott, is let's just move this, keep this a bit, you know, looking the right sort of shape. Let's move this. So what I'll show you what happens when I move it, right? These elements move as well. So you know, that's part of the trick with it. That's why I did it. I'm just going to move that over a little bit and then move these guys back. So a little bit of working around there, but very easy to do with Enterprise Architect's features. Just, you know, fix these guys up. They'll snap into position easily. Now, what's happened now? I've got two things: view cost and wait for payment. So what I can do now is use another element which we haven't used before. So we used activity, we used action, we used a partition, which are the swim lanes, and we've got this send and receive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a receive event. So I'll drag that in, I'm going to put it up there, and I'm going to call it cancel booking. And again, I'm going to get some notes and put those into the diagram. It might seem tedious, Scott, to people that are new to modeling, but I can tell you that there's, you know, it's an incredibly valuable thing to be putting these notes in. It doesn't take too much time, and you know, you get the value of understanding what they're about. So now what's happened is we've got a region there, and the region is telling us, hey, something particular could happen in this region, and it's called an interruptible region because something kind of outside what is considered normal is going to happen. So the user is going to cancel the booking. So we can now grab these ones here and just line them up. You can see the alignment thing helps us there. Spacing is giving us the right spacing as well. Now we can use our interrupt flow again and connect this one to the cancel booking. And you know, that does that. I'll move this one to the top a bit and move this one to the bottom. It makes the line look a little bit neater. And so now we've got an interruptible region just that's spanning. Now, it wasn't just a single element, it's multiple elements. In this case, we've just done two elements there. And the other thing I like to do, Scott, is I like to change the layout on this one to the line type, the line color. So let's make it red. It's sort of a, you know, it's something that's happening, and let's expand the line thickness as well. So I'm going to save that diagram.
That makes it stand out a bit.
Yeah, it does.
Because if everyone keeps cancelling, that's no good.
Yeah. Now what I can do with this region is I can make it as big as I want to. So I can, you know, cover these ones here and say, hey, that's the region where this cancel could happen, right? So if it comes that you needed to put somewhere else, you could create another region, reuse that element as well if you like. But that gives you an indication of how that works. So I'll move this over to make it a little bit neater. I'm going to save that now, and you can see that we looked at two different styles of using an interruptible flow and interrupt flow. So once it was just off a single element, and the other one was using an interruptible region, and that with that we needed to use our receive event. So this receive event is kind of there, if you think about it, just someone listening in and going, hey, is this motor going to cancel? Is this motor going to cancel? Oh, they've cancelled. This is what needs to happen. Yeah. And it might be that you might have to do some more sophisticated things at different points. Different things might happen, in which case you might use some different regions and say, okay, if they cancel here, nothing happens. But if they cancel at a particular point, you might go, actually, you've incurred some cost in doing that. You sort of booked the session, but you didn't complete it, and you're going to get a cancellation fee for that. Vis-a-vis what happens with the airlines in some situations. So that's the interruptible region. Now, the other one we've got here, Scott, is a expansion region, and that's an interesting one. And let's have a look at under our objects. We've got an expansion node as well. So we've looked at a lot of these things. We've looked at object and central buffer and data store and action pin. We're now going to have a look at the expansion region and the expansion node. And just as interruptible region was kind of coupled with the receive event, the expansion region is coupled with that expansion node. So I'm not going to do it on this particular model. I'm going to do it on a slightly different idea. So this is, this parking meter system is not just about parking your car in the street. There are all sorts of other parking facilities that the city has. So there's, event parking, multi-tower parking, and it even deals with, very sophisticated, drive your vehicle into a bay, and an automated robotic system will move your vehicle up through a multi-towered facility to store your car, and you come back and press the button, and your car's ready. We'll send it on your phone, and your car's going to be waiting for you. But one of the facilities that the parking meter system sort of envisaged was the idea of doing car detailing, so washing and things in cars while they're parking, and that offsets some of the costs. The people that do the washing, the detailing of the car, the washing, rinsing, vacuuming, and all that, they pay a little surcharge, if you like, or a little commission to the parking venue for the privilege of doing that. So they have, some mobile situations. They might have built-in infrastructure to wash the car. So what we're going to do now is look at our behavioral models here in the project browser and say, okay, here's our activity model, and we've got this activity model here. This is a very common thing to happen, Scott. Let's have a look at this activity model, and let's say, look, let's put another node under there, another package under there called make parking reservation or booking. So we'll do that, and we'll now move all of these nodes up into that make parking reservation. No harm done. Just a bit of restructuring. The diagram's still intact. You can see that. No problems with that. Let's make another node here and say, let's make it a node called detail vehicle. So we'll do that. And now let's put another diagram in under this one here. It's going to be an activity diagram. And we could do that from the model builder as well. We could use that again and say, look, here's some things that we wanted to do. And there's the interruptible region, Scott, to go back and look at that, that we did. And, we've got other things going on. We've got an exception handler and things going on there as well. But let's do this from scratch, and we'll call detail vehicle. Now I'm going to do this a little bit ad hoc so that and people can look at it. This is an advanced session, so let's just start looking at this, and we'll say, look, we'll put an action in, and we'll put that as being just put an action in there, and we'll say it's an atomic action, and we'll put some notes into that. The entry point where customers park their vehicles, rental vehicles. So I'll just put vehicles to the facility initiating a cleaning process. So that's there, and we'll just put it. We'll put this thing in here, and we'll call it receive vehicles or something. I said I'm not so much fussed about the semantics as So this might happen as people are driving into the facility and the car might be, just picked up and put into, through a system, or it might happen once the vehicle's parked. It'll depend upon the parking facility, right? So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in this expansion region. So again, I'm going to grab that expansion region, drop it onto the palette, and I'm going to call it detail vehicle.
Yeah.
And do that. Let's make it a particular shape. Scott, we'll make it like that kind of shape. And let's have a look now at some aspects of this. So again, we want to put in some notes in that in a minute. Come back to that. But what I want to do now is just put an expansion node onto the element. So I'm going to just drop it on there. You can see it's gone in there, and I'm going to call it. Let's just call it something simple. Dirty vehicle. May not be like dirty. It may just need a vacuum or something as well. But let's put in there. Dirty vehicle. I think that's gone in. Going to the right spot. Yeah, dirty vehicle. Let's leave that there. And now we're going to target this in. And for the listeners out there, what kind of node would we, what kind of flow we want to put in here? And I think we want an object flow, right? Because it's going from something into one of these nodes. So the other thing is about this here is that when we look at it, we can see the options here. Got unordered, LIFO, ordered, and FIFO. So
LIFO is last in, first out, and
yeah, that's it. Yeah. So last in, first out, first in, first out. And we've got a couple of options here. It's an expansion. Type expansion node. So let's go type here. Don't have that there. Let's leave that for the moment. Control type. Ordering. Interesting. Okay. Let's have a look at this input type mode. Yeah, so there's a mode here on the actual expansion region itself saying iterative, parallel, or stream. Now this is an important thing, Scott, is that are we doing this iteratively, like each car comes in and we just do that car, we do that car, we do the next car, we do the next car, or is it happening in parallel where we've got multiple multiple cleaning bays? And if anyone that's used any of those detailing on the street detailing, they'll notice that you might have 4 or 5 different different entry points and a whole different teams working on a particular car. So let's call this one parallel, or it could be stream, where the cars just actually pass through a whole cleaning thing just in as they're moving through. So let's call it parallel though. You can see the parallel keywords popped up there. So let's just do put a few things in here now. We'll just go, let's put this one wash vehicle. And wash vehicle, and then the next one is rinse vehicle perhaps, and let's just do that. We'll go using the quick linker, and we'll go to action, control, flow is what we want, and it's go normal, okay to that, and let's put in rinse vehicle. So I'm not gonna well, let's just do one other thing, and let's just put in a action, control, flow, say okay to that, dry vehicle. And another one, let's do this one quickly, control, flow, and we'll go okay to that, and we'll say vacuum. And again, then we can use our layout ribbon to say let's make all these the same size.
Line them up.
Let's align them top. Let's align them, space them evenly across. And now, Scott, we need another expansion node coming out here as well. Let's just leave that one, and we'll put in that. We'll call that clean vehicle. And now we just simply join this up with an object flow, and and then we can continue that on to another activity. So that would flow out then to another activity. I'm not going to finish off this. Remember to put your details underneath the notes underneath this, but I also give the task for the listeners to incorporate this into the bigger model. So you might want to have a relationship between this vehicle and the parking that's going on as well. So lots of opportunities there. But this video was about how to use these regions. So how to use both this expansion region and also this interruptible region here as well. So they don't all have to happen, as we've seen on this diagram. Not every diagram has an interruptible region. Not every diagram has an expansion region. You come out to the expansion region when you want to do a series of things, that are kind of in a group that's separate from the other part of the model. So, this little detailed vehicle thing is going on as a separate, separate process, if you like, to the other things. So that's it, Scott, for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and hope people can see where they could utilize some of these extra or advanced features of the tool to make their models richer.
Thanks, Stephen. It's been good to learn about the interruptible region and the expansion region and how you can apply those things. So that's been very valuable to take the next step in enhancing activity diagrams. To all our audience, there's a series of different videos, and we encourage you to look at everything in the series, including the introductory and intermediate videos that look at activity diagrams. As always, if you have any questions or if you'd like to have Stephen come and do some training for you, you can reach out via his LinkedIn and website credentials at Sparx Services Australia that are listed in the video description below. Thanks again for all your help today and for showing us a few advanced techniques in activity diagrams. That's greatly appreciated, Stephen.
Always a pleasure to be here, Scott.